Pinakapagkasyalan Tongin ay kindelikidong Hoy bilmen kolok-kolok So cekap yen lo kasangok Weki yung kisi silent Kasong ewarosan Saratang pangkatipinan Nanong bisin wetuan Os na melaw kaito we are one in Kiwi. Tami Kimauki, Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Osabina Kapnekaselen, Tongenaikin Leliginu, Oi Bin Men Kolo Kolo, Sote Kapyen Lokasamu, Wepi Yung Kisi Silent, Rasong Ewan Rosen, Saratang Kang Ketipinan, Nanong Kisi Matuwalan, Osamen Lau Beito, Weyang Wangin Kiwi, Tami Kimauki, Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Osabina Kapnekaselen, Tongenaikin Leliginu, Oi Bin Men Kolo Kolo, Sote Kapyen Lokasamu, Wepi Yung Kisi Silent, Rasong Ewan Rosen, Saratang Kang Ketipinan, Nanong Kisi Matuwalan, Osamen Lau Beito, Weyang Wangin Kiwi, Tami Kimauki, Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Wepen Kapwewe. Alanganin kubur koros mainguk maingochin komkomoy sang radio Pohnpei radio V6AH ni killer skit pa ko pay saktuaw on kapretens of mobile AM radio kan 88.3 ang kapretens of mobile FM radio kan live feed na YouTube o Facebook on V6AH YouTube channel o Facebook page o cable TV channel Rie Sakriyaw Klogan station and South Sech minute sili sakeos panalar klokaisak 10 minute 3 sak tuaw mon klokaisakeo chaiban kamalti san nan sa machel programming komoy chikoch lakachin muangi out of sa machay ron way out kan the VOA news magan sansal ni Pachon White.
This is VOA News I'm Diane Roberts. Ukraine's president has posted a video showing what he said was a Russian missile hitting an apartment building in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, killing at least one person after Moscow's forces launched exploding drones before dawn. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
The video, posted by Volodymyr Zelensky to Telegram, appeared to be from CCTV cameras that captured the moment a missile hit the 9-story residential block by a busy road. Ukrainian media has showed charred apartments with flames billowing from some of them. Zaporizhia's city council secretary says 2 children were among the wounded, adding that a few dozen people have needed hospital treatment, with some in critical condition. Zelensky again appealed for countries to increase pressure on the Kremlin to give up its invasion of Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has visited military positions in the eastern Donetsk region and awarded medals to the defenders of Bakhmut, a devastated city that has become a symbol of the Ukraine's dogged resistance. Addressing the soldiers, Zelensky thanked them for protecting the state sovereignty and the east of Ukraine. He said he saw a lot of destruction, and that the main thing is they will rebuild everything after the war is won. Fierce battles continue in the eastern Donetsk region, where Russia is straining to encircle the city of Bakhmut in the face of persistent Ukrainian defense. The U.S. will speed up its delivery of Abrams tanks to Ukraine. After months of Ukraine pressing for the heavily armored and armed tanks, the Pentagon announced in January it would send a newer variant of the Abrams, but that would have taken a while. This is VOA News.
Ayes to the right, 515. The noes to the left, 29. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. Look!
British lawmakers on Wednesday voted overwhelmingly in favor of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's deal with the European Union to rewrite the rules on Northern Ireland trade. The House of Commons voted to back a key portion of the agreement, which is designed to resolve a thorny trade dispute that vexed UK-EU relations and triggered a political crisis in Belfast. But Sunak faced a rebellion by about 20 fellow Conservatives, including his 2 immediate predecessors. Former Prime Ministers Liz Truss and Boris Johnson had both said they would vote against the deal. For his part, former Prime Minister Johnson has finished testifying to a crucial hearing on whether he misled Parliament about lockdown parties. He told the committee on Wednesday that the rule-breaking events were wrong and that he bitterly regretted it, but he added,
I'm here to say to you, hand on heart, that I did not lie to the House. When those statements were made, they were made in good faith and on the basis of what I honestly knew and believed at the time.
While Johnson denies deliberately lying, if found to have done so, he could face suspension or even lose his seat in Parliament. He's being questioned by the House of Commons Standards Committee over his statements about rule-breaking parties in government buildings during the coronavirus pandemic. Passengers should expect more disruption at French airports on March 23rd due to strikes in France and protest against plans to increase the French retirement age, the DGAC Civil Aviation Authority said Wednesday. Striking workers at a garbage incinerator outside of Paris described Emmanuel Macron as being out of touch with the reality of the workplace after the French president gave a live interview on national television to discuss his much-debated pension reform. U.S. cases of a dangerous fungus tripled over just 3 years, and more than half of states have now reported it. Researchers at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention wrote about the infection. Here's VOA's Tommy McNeil.
Researchers say the COVID-19 pandemic is likely part of the reason for the spread. Hospital workers were strained by coronavirus patients, and that likely shifted their focus away from disinfecting some other kinds of germs. The fungus is called Candida auris. It's a form of yeast that is usually not harmful to healthy people, but can be a deadly risk to fragile hospital and nursing home patients. Some strains are so-called superbugs that are resistant to antibiotic drugs. Tommy McNeil, VOA News, Washington.
I'm Diane Roberts, VOA News.
Kalanganin kubur chorus, main ko machay chow taban sob machay rawan way loud kan the VOA News masansaler ni bachon way Pepe wang kuprakan sang alingan Pohnpei V6AH Radio Klawan station and so 6 minutes lisak isus palalar klokisak 10 minutes riyasak silo mon klokisak yo chay bang bachon bubong sway nan sob machay programming coverage.
Kaim saklanay tahan niya kasayway Ichasolakan kahit isang enal poche Way dong yan sa latang gisenaikan Kokolaja Nelaw getir korongwa imuin ay mo Iwe wait na noso tan mo chon ay mela Wesolat wiya kayo kakwiya wiyo Eurai song pukat ban so rasa nanay orang naniu oh nelaw ketir korongwa imuin ay mo Pues solarong lang ya sang mechkola Song reme minay sa paraka Memang iti sa merkan ko kosen ko Iyan na niyen ko na morki ko Nani mauruat Ketir korongwa imuin ay mo Kacaman dan wara Muen yiwan dos lingan Pemasali kacapat minrahan Noni pongkahan Eurai song pukat ban so rasang nanay murang naniu oh melaw ketir korongwa imuin ay mo Pues sonaron que lang ya sang mechkola Nelaw ketir korongwa imuin ay Say money, money, money ke asaliya, ke asali pinila, kang rice piyan, oh money ke asaliya, money, money, money ke asaliya, ke asali pinila.
Kalanganin kubur koros mengkok may wachin kom kamay sang radio Pohnpei radio V6AH Klagan station and South Sech ministerials kalalar klagay sakeo Autapan pakaykan makanangan san salong prakan Nudge district government vacancy announcement position tax collector Wasa Ye Nudge district government executive branch opening date March 23, 2023 Closing date on March 29, 2023. Salary $8,424 per annum plus $90 ko lang. Duties and responsibilities na pukakan kayo pan pukakan kata surtax o pukaki chak business kan dan winach karyaw pan pukaki uyata business license kan Koslu panana ko koyak and tatang ko computer o koyak and tatang ko QuickBook o kabayo Peruya pukaw ko sandichekan makosanet kasaneti Qualification requirements kan kayo panguya chiwamila ng winach karyaw panananalan 2 years college o wewe ko pukaw the related field Paslu Panchimalan Gukoya kan Watak o Inchingi Masanan Pohnpei o Pachonwai o Kabayong Chingalan Gukoya the related experience Sampariao. Application form kan Panalanta ni option Winat Chapter ni Masri Sakriao Ribtri Saksilu o Kapurpurta ni Opswat Socha Pantasang Masri Saktuao Ribtri Saksilu Nan Awan Tatangkan. College transcript teksin kaun katete panaksan school panananan pachang application kan. Nangichi kan data kwech pan kakanalati ni option winach taninampan telefon sluriyaw saro riyaw tuwaw lamawaw. Halangan sign Lenpert Licor, Director of Administration, Nudge District Government. Pohnpei Port Authority announcement. This announcement is made to inform the general public that Pohnpei Port Authority is now soliciting bid proposals for the procurement of the following items: terminal conveyor belts, conveyor guide rollers, conveyor running rollers, conveyor slot sheet, conveyor bolt set, or terminal automatic door motors. Closing date for the submission of all proposals is on March 30th, 2023. For further information, please contact the FMNIT manager at telephone number 320-2793 or via email bronson.sam@ppa.fm. Thank you. Kalanganan kupurkaros mainggumiche chawdaban pakaykan mukunangan sansalang prakan Pwuhng kuprakan sang alangan Pohnpei V6AH Radio. Klagan station and sausage minutes limau spalala kloki sakyo. Cheba wachin bibong sway nan sang mache programming homage.
Rastaman Freddy. He would sit in the corner, say, Freddy, damn it all day. Rastaman Freddy has his little saying. Everybody gather around, talking on my Freddy. Feeling irate when Rastaman Freddy, listening to the songs of Bob Marley. Feeling irate when Rastaman Freddy, listening to the songs of Bob Marley. When I'm feeling irate, Rastaman Freddy, listening to the songs of Bob Marley. They're feeling irate with Rastaman Freddy, listening to the songs of Bob Marley.
Don't wait, oh, go, Don't wait, oh, go,
Australia mango, gitserin ramkat sekundarati. Oh, sakse nanto kajanno akajamwa, jumbai neneste, kabuste, ambuste. Nada akuriyo. Bana betigong si bora sia, sia Salawa. What? Naga Karate and Wawa. To the left, to the right. Karate and Wawa. Naga Karate and Wawa. To the left, to the right. Karate and Wawa. Celia Mango. This is in Ramkat Second. Akajangwa, jumbai neneste, kabuste, ambuste. Nada kuhuriyo. Oh, se akajangwa, jumbai neneste, kabuste, ambuste. Nada
Kalanganin kubul koras main kok may gachin kom komay sang radio Pohnpei radio V6AH. Kalanganan sa machang station and sunset. Klokeri sakewalat 10 minutes silisak panalar kloki sakeo. Cepan komelti sang nan sa machang programin komay chikoch na gachin mwangi. Au depan sa machang program kasanti. Yay, Voice of the Sea. Matin sansan ni Pachonwai.
Voice of the Sea, learning from experts across the ocean.
Welcome to Voice of the Sea.
In this episode of Voice of the Sea, we're investigating how assisted evolution is increasing the resilience of corals in the Ruth Gates lab at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology, which is internationally famous for this cutting-edge coral research. We'll talk to the Gates Lab project manager, genetics and microscopy expert, graduate student researchers, lab assistants, and a high school intern, all playing a part in understanding and ensuring a future for coral reefs on our planet Earth.
So everything that we're doing in the lab, from the conditioning to selective breeding to modifying symbioses, that is all working towards finding the most resilient coral that we can that can withstand future climate change. When your temperature increases in your body and it goes up just by a couple degrees, you feel a big difference and you feel sick. That's what's happening to the oceans and happening to these corals. We feel that if we don't do anything now, then there potentially won't be corals left. Different types, different species of coral can associate with different types of algae, and there's just a few that they will actually take up. We can actually change that relationship and hope to make hardier, more resilient corals that will not expel their algae and will not bleach in warmer temperatures. All of our species in Hawaii that we work with that are big coral reef builders, they all are born with their symbionts from their parent. They're actually passed on. In order to be able to change the symbionts that they associate with, you have to actually get rid of those symbionts with still keeping the corals alive. Not many people have done this before, so it's really exciting. It's really high-risk research. We're not sure if it's going to work. If you have a reef that's bleached and you could just sprinkle all the algae into the ocean and they could take up that algae, algae can reproduce really rapidly, much more rapidly than corals, so they will reproduce within the coral tissue cells, and they could survive with that more resilient algae. So that's kind of the big picture idea of it would be a really easy fix if it works. And with our experiments, we have to get every single last red dot gone, or else that algae can recolonize that coral tissue.
So you have to take that coral down to a really unhappy state.
Really unhappy, and then get it back to a happy state right away.
This is what's called a laser scanning confocal microscope. It takes high-resolution pictures of live organisms. Here on the microscope, we have an environmental chamber. We can adjust temperature and oxygen levels to create the ocean conditions of the future. The corals that look more visually bland to your eye, like the brown, I find look the most vibrant under the microscope, like under ultraviolet light. I know, it's very strange. Here we have a Possylopora.
And that's a kind of coral.
It is a coral that's found here in Hawaii. We just taken a little snippet off a colony. I'm going to load it right onto the stage here. Okay, so now I'm just going to locate the coral and focus on it.
So this is the coral that we have under the microscope.
Yes, so this is the Possylopora coral, and we're looking at it at 2.5 times magnification. And so we're able to see a closer look here of the individual polyps, which we can see the ring of tentacles that surrounds the polyp's mouth. And these tentacles are basically like arms for the coral, that they're able to reach out and grab small animals or zooplankton that's floating by and bring them into their mouth and eat them. This is the same type of coral, Possylopora, under basically ultraviolet light. What we see here is we can more clearly see the symbionts, how they're distributed in the coral. So the symbionts are now fluorescing red.
Oh.
So they have chlorophyll in them, and chlorophyll fluoresces red under ultraviolet light. And we can also see what we didn't see before is this green here. So this is green fluorescent protein that's in the coral. And on the end of their tentacles, you can see kind of a bluish color. Those are the stinging cells. This is one animal, even though it has multiple polyps. And each of these polyps is genetically identical. So they're actually clones of each other. And you can actually see on top of the coral, there's many organisms that are living right on top of the coral tissue. There's quite an elaborate ecosystem involved in one coral. We do see this quite frequently, organisms who live right on top of the coral tissue, but we don't know a lot about them. So now I'm going to get even closer. Wow. This is at 10 times magnification.
Now you can really see the symbionts.
Yeah, so now you can really see those single cell symbionts. And you can see the stinging tentacle, or the stinging cells on the end of their tentacles. And you can also see, it looks like they have stinging cells around their mouth as well. And the coral's actually spitting out what's called the mesentery, which is the lining of the coral stomach. When coral colonies start growing close to each other, they'll have coral wars, and they'll spit out their mesentery on each other to destroy the other ones. Yes.
No way.
As like a competitive.
Why are they fighting under your microscope?
I don't think it's fighting under under the microscope, but I think it's just maybe a little unhappy under the light. Yeah, so it's a little stress. So it's kind of a natural stress response, and we're seeing that here. Here's a Possylopra that has been through a major bleaching event, and when you look at it with the naked eye, it looks white. It's not moving as much. Many of the symbionts are gone, though it does still have some left. This is a Leptastria. It actually just spit larvae out of its mouth. These are Leptastria larvae, and you can see inside they have symbionts with them. So the babies are sent on their journey with symbionts inside. This is a close-up of one of those planulas, one of the larvae, and you can see the symbionts inside, and you can see its oral cavity, which will turn into its mouth, and also it spit out a couple of symbionts in the process. I did an experiment. I increased the temperature by a couple degrees, and within about 7 days, the coral was expelling symbionts very rapidly. So this is day 1 before I raised the temperature. This is how the coral was behaving initially. This is about 3 days into the experiment. I've raised the environment by a couple degrees, and you can see the polyps are now retracted in. It's still moving, there's still quite a bit of movement, but you can see what's happening here is some of these symbionts are being expelled now. After 7 days at an elevated temperature, you can see a lot of the movement is now gone.
The University of Hawaii's Sea Grant College program focused on Hawaii's coasts and its communities through sustainable development, safe seafood supply, sustainable coastal tourism, hazard resilience, and healthy coastal ecosystems. Hawaii's Sea Grant.
So we're talking about a coral, a Montebra, that is, it's releasing eggs and sperm, and you said broadcast spawning, so we're going out into the water.
So these Montebra capitata, they're the rice coral that are pretty dominant in Kaneohe Bay. They will release these bundles that they packaged inside of them already. And these bundles are full of eggs and sperm. And the eggs actually have that symbiodinium, that algae already inside of them. So they're all packaged, kind of ready to go. They get released around the full moon in May, June, July, or June, July, and August. What I've been looking at is quality of the gametes, so the sperm and the eggs that these corals that did or did not bleach are producing. And so far what I've found is looking just specifically at the eggs. So here on this screen, we have eggs that were from an individual bundle. So right here, we were able to collect each individual bundle went into one of these tubes. So they create this care package, a bundle. And within this care package are your gametes, your eggs and your sperm, and they're ready to go. So here we would collect the bundles, let them break apart, and then we fix them. So that way we know how many eggs are being packaged in this bundle, and then how large are these eggs. So we can potentially look for differences over time, because this is a metric or a trait that has been measured in multiple studies. So we can look at what the traits were 20 years ago and see how much that has changed. I have found that in the literature we are seeing a decline in eggs packaged per bundle and a slight increase in their size. So even though there are less of them, they're becoming larger. And that might be to increase the surface area so that a sperm actually will interact with this egg. Here we have the early stages of the embryos, eggs that were newly fertilized. This is about 2 hours after introducing the sperm to the eggs. And so what we have here is one egg that looks like it hasn't been fertilized at all. And then here's an early stage where it looks like it's a 2-cell going into 4 cells. Here's a really nice picture of one that is a 4-cell stage. So you get these 4 right here. This is about an 8 to 16, 8 to 16. And so this gives us an idea of those that have successfully fertilized. We can look at proportionalities, and then we can also look at rate of development as well. So it's another week after this that they'll settle and then metamorph into a little tiny polyp, like a little coral. Depending on the currents, depending on the tides, the winds, all of that, this pack of larvae or this cohort could be taken completely offshore somewhere, and they could actually stay in a larval stage for a couple of months. They will delay their metamorphosis if there isn't a suitable substrate to settle on.
So 7 to 10 days is the fastest.
So the 7 to 10 is like, oh, we got a window of opportunity, let's get these settled. We don't know if there is any filter going on where if you have an adult that has a mixture of Symbiodinium types or clades, if they're going to kind of cherry pick or figure out which one, or somehow pass which one's going to be most suitable. We don't know if there's any type of selection going on in that process. There is a trade-off in functionality. So for instance, clade D is a really nice example of being tolerant against high temperatures. However, they live in corals that tend to grow slowly or more slowly, and then you have a clade C that tends to let corals grow more